Aylis, are you sure this isn't the dumbest argument you've ever seen?
Oh.
Leave it to
Yes, we are live here on the Godless Engineer page for our 100,000 person liking the page. We don't know who that was, but thank you. There have been many
It was
come
me.
and go.
It was me.
You hadn't liked the page yet?
No, I went and looked, and it was like 99,999, and I was like, "Oh, bam, got it."
We all know you don't pay that attention.
Well, you know, as a lot of people know, I started this page around November 2012, and here it is, 2016, 4 years later, and we've already grown to 100,000 godless heathens. Of course, not everybody on here is a godless heathen. I know that there are a few people that follow us that are believers, and I definitely enjoy the idea of people that don't believe exactly in or that do believe in a God watching my content and actually interacting with us, even though we might have some harsh words in the comments section, more specifically over words like whether or not we're using words correctly and stuff. Let's see. Eric Gross says happy to be godless and believe in. Let's see. Dang, comments are going pretty fast tonight. Jonathan Zuko says believe in what? Christopher Lee Duncan says ramen.
And we've got Chris Cowhig, Irish. Hey.
Yes, Chris.
He's a moderator in our group, in the Godless Engineering group.
Yeah. I love to have everybody here, everybody, especially Chris. He's a pretty big part of, pretty much any live stream that we do. And look, here's Mark.
Hey, Mark.
I made it.
Awesome.
Right.
Mark is in the building. At least it didn't take him 40-something years like the gospel.
If I'm in the building, you guys need to find another building.
So let's see it. Huh?
When are we going out live? Because I'm gonna get something to drink.
We're live right now.
Oh, we're live right now. Oh. All right. That's good.
Sorry, Mark. You can go and get a drink though. We're just kind of bullshitting around right now. If you want to get a drink, yeah, do that. Yes, thank you, Christopher M. Christian, in the comments there. Congrats on 100K. Thank you. I mean, it's really crazy, the fact that we've grown to 100,000 people. I honestly never thought that it would get as big as it is, and I think that we can grow even bigger, especially if I put out meaningful content that people want to see, and not stuff that gets 200 people's eyes on it. Because that seems to happen on Facebook. It's really hard to get the reach that you think you have. But let's see. What do you guys think of the past year so far? Because it's really just been in about the past year that we've really started to grow pretty consistently, and we've done a lot of things on the page with the page and whatnot. So I'm wondering, what are y'all's thoughts?
Well, that's about the time that I came along, and I don't like to attribute the success to me or anything, but
it's all about you.
I have been known to make a page succeed or two, a page or two succeed. But on a serious note, I don't remember when exactly I did come on, but I think that I've really enjoyed adminning this page, and I think that it does have a lot of potential. When you see things that you post that you really want to be shared around the internet, and you see 50,000 people saw this or 60,000 people saw that, it makes you kind of feel like, in some sense, in some minor way, you're actually doing something, maybe planting seeds of doubt for people to question one of the most important questions that we have to answer for ourselves. And I'm always I guess, exhilarated by the fact that so many people actually care what we have to say. So I'm here for a while. I'm going to keep doing it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love having you on the page, man. You've always got some pretty good memes that are floating around, and also memes that you've created yourself that really spread a good message. So I love having you on there. To shift a little bit to Mark, our newest, another content creator on the page. Mark here, he runs Be Secular. He's a very involved activist, and he's also he runs the hashtag basically normalize atheism, working to really normalize it in our society even more than we've gained. Because I would say in the past year or more, we've gained a lot of traction in normalizing atheism. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, as we go along, I mean, I just made a comment today on Facebook about Arian Foster. I know we know that he had the ESPN magazine article last year, and that was a big deal, not only because he's black, but because he's an athlete. And then you put on top that he's an all-pro. He's been an all-pro recently in the NFL. I mean, that's the kind of thing that would, change a lot of minds. If a person that could lose, millions of dollars in marketing and sponsorship deals is willing to stand up and be open about his secularity. I mean, the Openly Secular project was what spawned him deciding to come out, and then ESPN got involved and put it in the magazine. It's on the cover of the magazine. Those are the kind of things that go a long ways in normalizing the idea of not believing in a God. And the hashtag was started about a year before that. It's been used over 100,000 times now. And I think that it's a nice thing. I've recently shifted my focus with it from using it to talk about atheism to using it to talk about other stuff. So if I'm eating some good food that I've never had before and I'm at a Thai restaurant, I may just use it in that, because how many times have we seen someone use blessed or something like that as a hashtag in their regular everyday life? So that's what I'm trying to use it for. With the Godless Engineering, it's like I am as far from being an engineer as a person probably could be. I struggle to even put the child safety locks on these drawers to keep Nova out of. He's almost engineering the drawers better than me because he's able to get in. So I'm definitely not an engineer, but I like to try to get atheism in front of as many people as possible. I like to try to fight the dangerous and poisonous things that religion tends to do. And I think hitting 100,000 is a huge accomplishment. And I was talking to Shannon about it actually. Hitting 100,000 for a group that isn't really associated with an actual nonprofit or an already important person in the community like Richard Dawkins Foundation or something like that. I mean, that's a huge thing to go from 0 to 100,000 and not having some kind of already existing network. It's quite an accomplishment. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I was saying before you got on, I couldn't imagine growing to these these numbers. 100,000, because we're already. I mean, it's only been since like last Wednesday or Thursday, I think, and I mean we've already got. Was it Tuesday? And it's
past Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, we've almost got another 1,000 people on the page since then. And so it's been really amazing. And, with it being Facebook, it's actually, it even makes it that much more because, Facebook really stifles, reach as far as, you constantly have to have, content that people want to engage in. And if people stop engaging in that content, you completely disappear off their radar. Right. I'm fairly certain that there's about probably 30,000 people that don't know they still like the page.
I'm glad you brought that up because, John, you and I, we've talked about reach and Facebook and the science behind it many times. And from what I understand, 100,000 is a new frontier. Your reach changes just like it changes when you go from hit 100, when it changes to hit 1,000, when you change to hit 10,000. 100,000 is a milestone, and how the reach is going to be utilized and seen and how it's going to be impacted. I mean, we're just going to have to discover that together, because I'm not an admin on a page that has 100,000 other than this one, so I don't have experience in how it really works. You know, I'm a 5-figure person. I'm not a 6-figure person, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it affects either, because I know that once you get to like a certain natural reach, like it just sort of like you're always being talked about, and your feed is always being interacted with. So you naturally grow and you naturally get into more and more people's feeds. So I'm kind of interested to see where that takes, because I know for the past week or so we've been about like just under 2 million post reach and 150,000 people engaging in our content. So I'm really happy about that.
Hey, John, there's a good question in the comments if you'd like me to read it. It's for you.
Yeah.
Christina. Hi, Christina. She asked, in the coming years, will you take your page in any new directions?
Well, no, I don't think necessarily new directions. But I mean, I'm always liking to, I guess really roll with the times. That's why, a lot of my more popular posts are news articles and whatnot. I mean, at some point, there's only so many ways that you can say, that, religious arguments are bunk, and, disprove. You can only disprove them so many times before it gets too repetitive. So that's why I like, following with the news and giving my own 2 cents on what's in the news as far as religion, science, politics goes. So as far as them going a new or me going in a new direction with the page, I don't think new direction is quite it. I think that I might change up some things. I might start criticizing other things in the news. So it's not really a new direction, but I guess more just a widening a little bit of what I actually cover.
Yeah, sorry, we also recently got involved with Freedom from Religion Foundation, so that's something that we're working on. I've contacted them about possibly starting a local chapter here in Northern Alabama, so we'll see where that goes. I'm not sure what all is involved with that, but that would be great. We also started up earlier this year, and we haven't done it in a few months, but I want to start it back, is doing a monthly charity kind of thing, a secular charity. Places that, people don't really get involved in. It's easy for churches to ask people for money. It's easy for religious foundations to ask people for money, but the secular foundations are not as big. And so we want to definitely get those out there.
Well, Casey, everybody's kind of given their two cents on the page, its growth and everything like that. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I've been around the page since very early on, and I think it's great. I mean, I think it's wonderful. It gave, when I first kind of, I don't want to say came out, but when I first figured out that that I was an atheist and kind of started figuring out what that meant for my life, Godless Engineer was there. And so it was a place for me to go and, see opinions of other people that were like me and talk to other people. And the group is a good place for that too. There's a lot of people that deal with normal life things that are different. Like, we get messages in the inbox all the time, like, I have a son, and what do you tell them about Santa? And just all kinds of normal real life questions. Or, I told my parents that I'm an atheist and they kicked me out. Do you know anybody who's had that happen? And so, we just get a lot of stuff like that. And I love that it's grown like this, because I think it's really important. I think people like us being here is important. And so it makes me really happy that this page has gone like it has. What the hell is that?
Somebody posted this. Tom Hicks posted this in the comments. He says, my favorite creation. I figured since he made it and he actually posted it, it would be great to put it in there, because this page wouldn't be what it is today without the people that interact with it. There's actually one person that I read. Let's see. Yeah, Jeff Griffith says, congrats. Some of the things you post I find amusing. Others I vehemently disagree with. I stick around for the good stuff. Congrats again. And I get that not a lot of people, have such a wide focus range as I do. Because I know that, especially KC has noticed with my gaming, I focus on a whole different range of, things. Like, I'm popping from one thing to another. Huh?
That's not called focus. That's called ADD.
Well, I've got a side note here. He mentioned a lot of posts that he vehemently disagrees with. I just want to say those are most likely mine. Because I tend to be the shit stirrer around here. So if you didn't like the meme, it was probably me.
Well,
I think it's great though. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that's one of the things I think that's great about our team is that we all have I mean obviously different personalities, but we all bring something different to the page. Like I love that Mark brings in stuff from Be Secular and Normalize Atheism and stuff from Shannon and things like that. Like he brings a lot of different things in, and ALS has great memes and the God Works Out content and stuff like that, and it's great. Tim has a lot of more serious kind of, long written posts, but, there are a lot of people that like that. And, he talks about real life stuff that goes on with him and things like that. And so there are some people that like that and there's some people that don't. I do a lot of political based stuff. That's kind of my wheelhouse and what I like. And, John does all his videos and all those kinds of things. And I think that we just all bring something different, and not everybody likes everything, but that's okay because we have so many different kinds of things.
Well, and as you grow, I mean, you're talking about 100,000 people. You can't get 10 people in a room and get them all to agree on everything. Right. So as we go and we get bigger, we're going to have more and more and more disagreement on the page. I mean, some of the threads get very, very, very aggressive, based on things. I mean, we all basically agree that God doesn't exist. Beyond that, it's anybody's guess what someone's going to agree. I'm sure we have Republican or libertarian atheists all over our page that are pretty conservative other than their disbelief in God. So we're going to have a lot of back and forth on stuff.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Join. Hi, John Kane. Glad you got to make it. I know you weren't going to be able to come, so I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, no, and kind of going back to something that Ayla said about, people vehemently disagreeing and whatnot, I'd like to kind of take a second and reflect back on the number of times I've been banned or put in the timeout box with Facebook. Okay, I don't think people really realize how many accounts I have. Currently, right now, I have 4 active accounts on Facebook. Okay, I've had to have 4. That's because every time I get banned, I would need a way to post on the page or do something. So I would just make another account. And so right now there are 4 John Gleasons that are the same one, and they've all been for various things. And prior to me getting banned, it's always been hilarious because it never fails. Anytime I post something that is obscenely stupid or it looks or it's just like the raw video of something, like for instance, with the woman last year that was trying to actually make the case that dinosaurs never existed, right? That there's
that was funny.
Yeah, that there was some kind of big paleo thing, right? That apparently they were getting paid a lot of money for making up dinosaurs existing, right? And I had people messaging the page telling me not to have kids, and just a whole bunch of nasty stuff. And then like posting Steven Anderson clips. I even get mistaken for Steven, like this. Like for some reason, people cannot read the title of the page being Godless Engineer, and then they're like, "You just need to step down from your congregation." And it's just like, I don't have a fucking congregation. Thank you very much.
The messages we got in the inbox when you were posting those Steven Anderson videos were absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, they were. Oh, and then there's the ones that I get for posting anti-Islamic things. When I post things that are critical of Islam, I always get people in the thing. They're either Muslim or they are people that are trying to, I guess, really argue against me, but they're doing it in the wrong way. Like, for instance, this one Muslim I had ended up saying that he was going to rip my guts out and fuck my mother. So my only response was, "Have at it. I don't care."
And we lost the Just Muslim Things page too.
Oh, that was a great debacle.
That was bad. Yeah.
Okay. So the story behind that was that I created a page to mirror my Just Christian Things page, So in doing that, I had made a banner and everything, and I'd posted a couple memes. And, they weren't too bad or anything. Like, one of them was Muhammad crying as a baby, kind of deal. But the page, like literally in less than 24 hours, the page got taken down and I got banned. Okay? It's just ridiculous, like, how quick that happened. What do you guys? What have you guys been banned for, or have you not been banned for?
Well, what I was gonna say was, a lot of times, when you post something on Godless Engineer, or one of us does, if that image gets reported, I've been banned for that, and just because I'm associated with the page, and I don't have a bunch of backup accounts, so all my other pages become dormant for the time. Not be secular, because Shannon does all that, but anything else I'm associated with that I'm basically doing on my own, I'm just down, and I'm like, John, fuck me.
Yeah, you got a hardcore ban for a video, a raw video that you did of Muslims. They were cutting kids' heads. You remember that?
Yeah, that was during Ashura, is what that was.
Ashura Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a crazy one, because it was really funny, because people were messaging the page, saying how disgusting it was and everything, and I'm like, yes, I know, it is disgusting. You're right, that's horrible. Why would they do that to a small child? But then they're like, I'm gonna report it. Why would you report it? I'm trying to bring attention to the fact that this is happening in this culture, and just showing how screwed up it is. So it's just I find it hilarious, the messages I get when people don't realize that I'm actually a godless page or an atheist page.
People get really upset when you call attention to things that religions do, to problems that they cause in society. I mean, people don't like that. A lot of people, they don't want to see what's going on around them, and they think that these things aren't a problem. They think that field trips to places like Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum, they think that they're okay. They think that it's okay to have, sponsored school prayer and Bible reading during lunch at school. They think that those things are okay. There's a lot of things that, or that they don't really know are happening, because they're not reported in the mainstream news, and they're not reported because a lot of people don't care, because they're Christian too, so it's fine, but it's not fine. So, I mean, people just don't like that when you call attention to what's going on.
Yeah, and a lot of people like to criticize me for bringing up what they consider to be small things, and my only response to that is that baby steps is the key thing to really hold on to there, because stuff doesn't just like big things don't just happen overnight. It's not like we're going to wake up tomorrow and we're going to realize, or we're going to see like a completely Christian theocratic government. I mean, while that's possible, that's not like that's what we're going to see. It's not like that's really something that we're going to experience. So what you have to focus on is baby steps, because like with babies, and I know Mark definitely knows this recently.
He's right here. He's 4 feet away from me. Baby step connection.
Yeah. Babies, they learn by taking it slow. They do it slow, and they eventually, get to the point where they're walking and running and everything like that. And so, like the same thing happens with issues that we see in our daily lives. And like, for instance, the United States turning into a theocratic nation based on Christianity. That's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen in baby steps. It's going to happen, slowly. And so these politicians that are really pushing "In God We Trust" on police vehicles that violates the separation of church and state, things that a lot of people don't think are that important to be worried about. I think that if we end up focusing on other things that we think are more important, I think that we're going to let the little things slip by, and they're going to create something that's normal. It's going to get normalized, and normalized in a bad way. Like "In God We Trust." It's a complete, statement of faith that we have on our money, that we have in our society in general. And honestly, I think that we need to change it to be "E pluribus unum," which was the original unofficial motto. And I just, a lot of people see that as a non-issue, and I just really don't think it's a non-issue. What do you guys think about that? Like the "In God We Trust" being a non-issue, or it being a legit issue?
Everything like that is an issue. I mean, Shannon and I, for those that don't know, Be Secular is definitely more of an accommodationist sort of atheism. We work with progressive Christians. We work with interfaith councils and stuff like that. So we get a lot of heat from firebrands saying, we gotta, it's an all or nothing. Yeah, Bubba, he knows. It's an all or nothing thing. But I think that, wow, you're getting it. There he is. I think that I don't like to use the broken windows analogy, because I think that there's a lot of heat brought on that now because of the Black Lives Matter, and how some of the broken window style policing tactics is what's leading to some of these problems. But okay, all right, bye-bye. The idea is that little things affect the culture and affect your environment, and can ultimately make big things harder to tackle, is what I think you're talking about. I mean, we do have to constantly deal with "In God We Trust" on the money. We do have to constantly deal with issues that are very surface level, but that stuff can build a culture of resistance against secularity, and that's a problem. So I think all those things should be fought in an equal way.
What about you, Aylis? What do you think?
I think it's all important. I think it's the little things are definitely the most important, but I think that people are just generally lazy. They just kind of like don't want to have to interact if they don't have to, so they see something like "In God We Trust" on the back of a police cruiser, kind of like a trivial thing. But these are also the same people who would wake up one day under a theocracy and say, "What happened? What could I have done to stop this?" But what we don't need is hindsight. What we need is a proactive approach to dealing with these type of church-state violations. And I know you guys mentioned Freedom from Religion Foundation earlier. I've been a member for 3 years now, so shameless plug there. They actually do a lot of stuff.
They do.
Man, they send out so many letters. Like, I get an email every time they do shit, and like they are really freaking active.
They're on it. They are on it. And you know, recently they sent out, I can't remember how many thousands of letters they sent out to schools about field trips to the Ark Encounter since it just opened. And Ken Ham called them bullies, that they were bullying schools and they were bullying kids because they basically reminded schools that, hey, it is against the law for you to have field trips to this place. It was just a reminder because you know it's going to be a thing. So especially in the area where the Ark is. So yeah, Freedom from Religion Foundation got called bullies. But I mean, it was by Ken Ham. So anytime you start something with Ken Ham said, you take it or leave it.
So I'm kind of curious, what does everybody think that we should be focusing on for like the next year to come? Like, is there any certain area that we should be giving more visibility to, or anything like that?
I think with the racial element coming to the forefront again, a lot more than it has been in the last decade, we'll say. I think we should be pushing minority atheist groups and trying to get them more visibility. Hispanic American freethinkers with Dave Tamayo, Black Nonbelievers with Mandisa. You got Black Atheists of America. There's all these groups out there that are specifically designed to help minorities find other non-believing minorities that they can talk to and help understand. And obviously, religion is very, very, very important in minority communities. Catholicism is all rampant in the Hispanic households. You know that the Southern Baptists with the Black community is very, very strong. So I think trying to mobilize and help just put those groups out in front of as many people as possible is something that we should really, really take seriously.
Okay. What about you, Alice?
Personally, what I've been doing since about January is I've dived back into Islam. As you know, they're having a lot of issues with assimilation and things like that with refugees, and not just refugees, just migrants that are coming over for economic opportunities, and how the different cultures are clashing and there's no assimilation happening. And since we are pretty much as a world ready to take on thousands or maybe even millions of potential refugees from another culture, I think that people should definitely educate themselves on what Islam is, what not just the religious aspect of it is, but the political conquest part of it. And I think that's something that I've been focusing on a lot. I know since at least January, I've been delving back into the Surah, the Hadith, and the Quran as well.
Okay. No, yeah, I know that I haven't really criticized Islam too heavily, like on YouTube and whatnot, but I know that we do pretty heavily on the page, and that's actually where most of my bans have really been from. Is when I criticize Islam. So, but I would like to know, before we talk to Casey here about her thoughts, I would like you in the comment section to let us know, where you think, we should be focusing, like as a community in general, not just this page, but I would love to know where, what's important to you, basically. But so now, Casey, what do you think?
I think right now politics is pretty important. We have presidential candidates that a lot of people don't like. And as much as politics and religion are supposed to be kept separate in this country, they're not. And, we have it. The presidential race is not the only one that's going on right now. I saw something like 73% of Congress is up for re-election. And so we really need to focus on getting people informed. People need to vote. Even if you don't vote like I vote, that's okay. People need to vote. Half this country doesn't even vote. And I think that's really important. There's some serious problems with especially one of our presidential candidates who wants to just take over and do whatever he wants to do with the government. And I know that that's not a legitimate possibility because he needs Congress along with him, and that's why the congressional seats are so important. Throughout this campaign, John and I have tweeted debates. We've live tweeted debates, and we've talked a lot about the separation of church and state. And we've talked a lot about some of the candidates who want to bring religion into the government and base laws on biblical morality. And that's not okay. And so I think that we need to, as a community, I think we really need to come together. We need to educate ourselves about the candidates, and we need to vote. Everybody needs to vote. So I think not necessarily over the next whole year that's going to be important, but definitely over the next few months, that's going to be something that is important to me to focus on.
Okay. Yeah, I think that everybody here has really good points as to what we need to focus on and the direction, I guess, that the page needs to really focus. Because I know me personally, the racial issue is very big, very important to me. The LGBT community has always been important to me, Islam, criticizing Islam a little bit more. I've been wanting to get more into that. Just like Aylis, I've been reading more of the Quran, more, criticisms of it, been watching more videos that are pro Islam and everything. I've even done one Fallacy Friday video where I actually criticize a piece of propaganda from an Islamic proponent. But no, I think that those are all really great ways that we can focus our page and really, talk about the issues that are the most important. And that's not to say that other issues aren't important at all, but just, focusing on things that maybe we haven't focused on too much in the past, I think would be a good idea. And then let's see, Mark Anthony Caesar in the comment says, perhaps emphasizing that racism isn't really an issue with atheism and that it is a huge issue with religion would help attract those of other races that are dealt harshly. Okay, with by religion. Well, I don't think that Mark was suggesting that there was like a race issue within atheism, but it's more or less like, that there's a race issue with, in religion, and there are organizations that are set up to, help those minorities, come out of that religion. I mean, I'm not misrepresenting you, am I, Mark? Oh, we can't hear you, Mark.
Can't hear you.
I agree that racism is maybe not less prevalent in the atheist community. I wouldn't say it's less prevalent because I think racism is an issue unto itself, but it definitely has less of a tool. Religion is a tool to propagate and continue to grow racist sentiment. It's not a mistake that they use the people of Canaan and the Cain and Abel story, and that black people came out of that as a way to put them down, put blacks down, and put them into a life of servitude. I mean, that's just a perfect example of a story that's continued to come back up and continue to be used within white communities as a way to justify the mistreatment and the servitude of blacks. So, and then you look at the other side of the coin with, like I said, Southern black religion for an example. It's like the way that those families and those communities and the church communities are so interwoven and everything's so insular, if we don't provide a way for people to see other people that are like them coming out of religion and being a force for good and realizing that their whole life isn't going to be over, they're never going to come out, because we were all in the same boat. When we first started realizing we didn't believe in God, we thought we were the only one. And when you realize you're not the only one, things get way easier. It's a lot easier to talk about your experiences and your doubts and your feelings, but it's obvious that people feel more comfortable, at least initially, discussing their doubts and their fears and their trepidations about things with people that they can relate to from a cultural perspective. So having Hispanic American freethinkers and Black nonbelievers and all of these minority groups, it allows people to take that first step with people that they feel are like them and they feel can relate to their experiences. So I don't think it's is racism an issue within atheism or just in religion. That's beside the point. The point is, these are the groups that are specifically designed to help a person come out when it's easier to come out when you're dealing with someone that you feel can relate to you initially.
True.
I think that there was a segment I did on this in a recent video called The Problem of Hell. But I think that religion itself, especially religions that prescribe an afterlife of eternal agony for people who have somehow wronged the faith or wronged the God or whatever, such an extreme belief and acceptance that people are deserving of a misfortune like that makes it really hard for you to identify with those people here in the here and now, right, in this life. And so that's one of the ways in which religion can be used, not necessarily to fuel racism, but it doesn't necessarily help either. And I think there probably is also the opposite correlation with atheism, because I know most of the atheists that I know also don the label humanist. So, I mean, I don't know how many racist humanists you know running around, but I think that if you're an atheist, it's probably less likely that you're going to be a racist, and more likely that you'll have like some kind of moral compass that is not just given to you by the things you experience or things that people teach you, but also your interaction with these people in the community, really. So I think that while it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with racism, I think there are things about religion that can fuel racism, and a lot of things that, like with the story that he gave, that was a story that has been used for a very long time to justify slavery, the enslavement of black people, because Cain got, the mark. He received the mark, and a lot of people took that to mean black flesh. Okay, so there are a lot of ways in which religion can fuel racism and actually hinder us from coming together. But I think that for the most part, atheism does the opposite.
Well, I know that I have seen one particular group that are straddling the line of racism pretty heavy, and I don't really want to stir that hornet's nest right now, but
stir it.
No,
Don't
stop.
miss
Stop.
opportunity.
All of you, stop.
Okay, well, I mean, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's actually atheism is unstoppable. Now, I'm not calling him a racist at all. I'm not calling him a racist, but I mean, some of the ways he acts and some of the things that he says, somebody can be easily confused by that. I'm just saying. He's very touchy on what people call him, and he usually demands apologies and stuff. So, but let's see. Chris Cowhig actually had a pretty good question. What is the funniest apologetics argument you guys ever heard? And I'll go first. I think the funniest one are the funniest ones I find are the ones where people just appeal to some kind of authority, and that authority happens to be the Bible, or just what other people think, like an ad populum argument or an argument to some kind of authority. I think those are by far the funniest because my usual first reaction is, oh, okay, so the book says it, that must mean it's true. And I just have to sit there and laugh, like why would I even think, like, that's not evidence? So I mean, by far those are the funniest ones to me. What about you guys?
I always go back to the atheist nightmare, the banana, and Ray Comfort. And
You can't even see what you've done to that baby. You can't even mention
he is out of hand. Yeah, he is
without him freaking out. You just mentioned the banana and he freaks out.
As soon as, whenever I think about the atheist nightmare and the banana thing, I always think about Dillahunty, where he's saying that, look, Comfort says that banana fits perfectly in your hand, and Dillahunty says it'll fit in your butt too. What does that have to do with anything?
It's even got those ridges and grooves for, extra anal sensitivity.
Now, you see the banana here, it is perfectly made to fit in your anus. See how it fits in your anus? Anyways, what about you, Aylis? What's the funniest apologetics argument?
I don't know, because I treat these arguments a lot differently than I see most people doing. I think this is probably why I'm bringing a lot of theist followers to the table, is because usually when someone presents an argument to me, I assume that they've never heard the counter argument to it, and they've never heard it applied in a way that makes them think, right? So usually I treat every argument the same, even if if evolution is true, then why are there still monkeys? I assume that person most likely is repeating something that they've heard and that they've never actually considered, or no one has actually, maybe someone's presentation or counter argument just kind of bashed them and attacked their intelligence. I like to spend a little time implementing the Socratic method. I like to ask them a lot of questions, and by the end of the exchange, my goal is to have them actually thinking about things. So in that sense, I don't necessarily look at any argument differently. I try to treat them all exactly the same, unless the person gives me a reason to think otherwise, right? You know if someone is trolling. If they're just trolling around, I don't even waste my time. But there are a lot of people that are really close friends to me that have asked me some of what people consider to be the stupidest questions ever, like the evolution question, right? And I've noticed personally that since coming out, I guess 2 years ago, and adminning these pages and doing different things, a lot of the people that I was friends with that I would have never thought had become atheists actually follow the page, and I see them sharing the memes on their page, and it's so crazy to see that, because I think that if we really want to normalize atheism, then we have to there you go, we have to present it in a normal way, and it can't always be telling people that they're wrong, but you've got to actually develop human connection with people, and that's what's really going to change minds. It's not rational arguments that change minds for most people. Those usually just make most people very emotional, and then once they hit that emotional state, then their cognitive faculties are basically going to be hindered in anything you try to present to them. So for me, I treat every argument the same, even if you think it's the most stupid argument.
I still feel like the best way to, you said something that I agree with a lot. I don't know if you and I have ever spoke to each other before, but it's nice to meet you. You said something that I totally agree with, and my theory on the way forward in all of this is not to continually bash people over the head, because I'm not sure you ever get through to most of those people. I think the way forward is plant seeds of doubt and then be compassionate everywhere else. You know, try to understand their problems and try to provide help when you can, and try to use philanthropy and use charity, and try to show that people don't need to have God to be good, and sprinkle in little seeds of doubt in there about the flood and fucking dinosaurs and fucking the monkeys and Neanderthals and evolution. Just sprinkle all that in, and then just be good, and eventually shit'll start cracking, man. That's how I look at it.
Well, in the other sense, though, too, I'm going to circle back and bring this up. You need people like Atheism is Unstoppable, because you can't just have a world full of people like me addressing the issue, right? I was a pretty stubborn person, so people that actually like tried to argue with me, I majored in theology. I had this shit down to a science. Like, it never worked. Like, I needed people to like verbally like attack me and like really get me quit. Like, that's what worked for me, because I was like, wow, like this person is treating me like I'm so fucking stupid. Like, I need to go back and review this and see like how have I, erred so much. And like that worked for me. So I think that, different approaches are necessary. And I think that probably the reason why the page has reached 100,000 likes is that we have so much diversity here on the team, and we take many different approaches to the different things that we post. And so I think that's really what's needed at the end of the day. We all have our own niche.
Mark,
amen. I just said amen. That's all.
Alice, are you sure this isn't the dumbest argument you've ever seen?
Oh.
Do you want to read it? Do you want to read it?
Do I need to read it again?
This one was so funny.
Satan get on my nerves. What kind of niggas spend their whole life trying to prove they greater than the one that created them? That's some gay ass shit, man. Bruh, stay on God dick. Like, nigga, just give up. You ain't never gonna be more realer than God. You and all them foo-foo ass demons ain't never gonna stunt like God. Like, bro, so bent on trying to be more powerful. Like, that's all he do. Like, nigga, go get some pussy.
My favorite part in that is stay. Yeah, my favorite part of that is, bruh, stay on God dick. Like.
My favorite part is foo-foo ass demons. I want to see some foo-foo ass demons. Like, I just really want to see that.
I imagine a foo-foo ass demon would look a lot like someone out of Rocky Horror. That's what a foo-foo ass demon would.
I don't know. Like, I imagine like a tutu. Like, I don't know. Man, foo-foo, I can't. I don't understand the person.
Well, yeah, if you guys don't know, me and Alice, we both do a running episodic line of videos on my YouTube channel and his YouTube channel too, called Dumbass Comments of the Week, where we take some of the dumber things that we've gotten or found, and we just comment on them. We get 5 things, and we spend about an hour and a half talking about it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but now we're on to KC. KC, what do you think? What's your favorite apologist argument?
I don't know, man. They bother me. Just apologists, they bother me. One thing I hear a lot, and I think is seriously stupid, is, but why don't you believe just in case? Like, shouldn't you believe in God just in case? In case what? Like, that, I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it really does. That and what you talked about at the beginning, John, where you ask people to back up their argument and they go straight to the Bible. That's really frustrating. To me, if you can't make your argument based off of a different book, then you don't have an argument. Like, we do a lot of the mythicist stuff, and a lot of people point to the Jesus story, and they use proof from the Bible. Use something else. Give me something else. Actual historical evidence. So that really bothers me too, when people won't go outside of the Bible to try to make a point.
Yeah, that really grinds on me as well. And I just I hate it when they just don't want to think outside their box, because I mean I feel like I don't feel like it's my job to make them, but I feel like if I can get them to think outside of their religion, then I've done what I've wanted to do. Getting them to open their eyes a little bit and come out of that fog for just a minute. But we are kind of entering upon the last few minutes. Do you guys have any final thoughts or anything like that about the growth of this page and the path forward and everything like that? Mark, you've traditionally gone first.
Oh, man.
Mark, you have lots of opinions. Start talking.
Like I said, I'm probably the last to this. I mean, I don't think I've been an admin for more than maybe about 6 months. But I think that, like I said earlier, the ability to grow from 0 to 100,000 with a page that doesn't have a organization that's really involved at all, that's very impressive. But I think that you have a group of people that are very passionate about managing the page. You have a group of fans that are very passionate about engaging with the page. And I mean, it seems like it's just going to keep going. I mean, let's do another one of these in a year and a half or 2 years, and we're at 200,000, That's what I think.
Yeah.
Alice?
I think I'm just gonna do me. I'm gonna continue to post controversial stuff. That seems to be what they actually like to see that. So I'll continue that. And as for where I see the page going, hopefully, we've actually done a lot as a group. We've created a podcast. We had 50, 60 episodes maybe. We've actually been able to meet each other. We've done a lot of cool things just as admins of the group. And I think that maybe if we can get to a point where we can do that in the future. One of the things I did when I went to ApostaCon was I got to hang out with some people that follow me on Instagram, and that was really cool. So I think maybe we could do some more of that, some hangouts or something.
Yeah, no, that would be very cool. I wish that there were more, gatherings or whatnot that were closer, together. Because I know I'd love to hang out with Mark on the weekends. What about you, there, Casey? Oh, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I want to hang out too, man. I'm a hangout kind of guy.
And I mean, GE, you go to a lot of these events, so maybe you can have a Godless Engineer meet up at your table, because you usually have a table and stuff and live stream. So,
well, yeah, I usually do. I try to, at least, depending on the availability of the internet. Sometimes I don't get that lucky. Like at ApostaCon, I didn't get lucky at all. They had their internet on lockdown. You were gonna have to pay to get internet, and even then it was an outrageous price.
Yeah.
But
Casey, you never know. It's always nice to meet the people that kind of support the movement. So.
Oh yeah, no, I love meeting, especially people that follow me here on Facebook. I love meeting people. Because I know at ApostaCon there was one guy that was like, "Wait a second, Godless Engineer, I've heard of that," and that really makes me feel good. It's like, oh, people have heard about me. But then it's like, of course, you've got 100,000 people on your page, John. Yeah, people have heard of you.
You internet famous.
Are you sure he wasn't a Christian? Godless Engineer, quick! Crucify him!
I don't know. He was dressed as Jesus, so it might have been.
Really? That's funny.
I got a picture with that guy.
But anyways, Casey, what do you think?
I think something that is is good, like Ayla was saying, is being able to go to events and meeting people and getting the message out there. And, you know, I think, and this is not in regards to atheism necessarily, but like with LGBT, like a lot of times people don't know, you know, especially here in the South, people don't know atheists. People don't know what we're about, and we're not necessarily about anything specifically as a whole, but they just don't know anybody that's like we are. And so they know what their church says or what their communities say, and that's all they've got. You know, there's a girl that I work with who literally thinks that I go home at night and sacrifice small animals to the devil. I don't know what to say to people like that, but I think when you get out there and you meet people and you try to put across a positive message, and people get to know you and they get to know you as a normal person, you normalize atheism. And I think that that's really important, that people get to know people, and then it's not as big of a thing. They'll see that there aren't as many differences as they think that there are. And, you know, bringing people together, I think that's what's important. And that's what I like about what we do here.
Awesome. Yeah, and I love that about, you know, what we do here. I love all of the comments that you guys have said. And, you know, I just can't express how lucky I am to have such an awesome creator team. And, you know, KC actually is co-admin on the page with me, so kind of sort of co-owner, I guess. But you know, and there's also one person that's not here tonight that couldn't be here, and that's Tim Habener. You know, I know a lot of people see him post on the page, and they, you know, they pretty much either love him or they hate him. But Tim couldn't be here tonight, but I mean, I don't know where I would be without Tim, because, you know, Tim and Aaron Fisher, actually, they run the Atheist Bible commentary. I think that's what it's called. I usually get mixed up with it, but they used to run that page, and, you know, I made quite an impression on them, and they let me get on the page, and I had some pretty good times over there with them, and then, you know, I pretty much started focusing on GE. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Tim. So I really appreciate him. And I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without Mark, without KC, without Alice, all of you guys. I mean, we wouldn't have reached the 100,000 mark if it wasn't for you guys. So I'm really thankful for having you guys here, and I'm thankful for the audience that we have.
Oh,
so.
Touchy.
That's super nice.
Let's post those like shitty offensive memes.
Now let's all not cry or anything. Come on, come on, let's get to 200,000. All right.
Yeah.
Aren't we supposed to be assholes here or something?
Well, that'll be it for the live stream tonight, for the 100K live stream. I've linked down below everybody's relevant stuff, except for Alice. If you wanna comment or something with your Instagram link, I think Instagram is just God Works Out, right?
Yeah, God Works Out.
Okay. Yeah, so we've got multiple links down there for everybody to check out. Please do that. If you like any of the pages or anything, definitely like those, especially Be Secular and Normalize Atheism, because that's what Mark runs. And then, of course, I've got Just Christian
Well,
Things.
I did want to make one more announcement.
Okay, go ahead.
Shannon's going to be speaking on Labor Day in Tennessee at the Smoky Mountain Free Thought Advance. It's in Kentucky? It's in Kentucky. No, Knoxville's in Tennessee.
Wait, it's in Tennessee.
It's in Tennessee. Chloe's no. She knows. Live editing.
It's in Tennessee.
She's going to be speaking along with Matt Dillahunty, Sincere Carabo, a lot of very, very good voices in the community. So go by there and check it out. I mean, it's pretty centrally located on the East Coast. So if you're anywhere near it, I suggest swinging by. You can find more information. Just Google Smoky Mountain Free Thought Advance.
And actually, John has a lecture on Did Jesus Exist, right? On Tuesday? Yeah, with Mythicist Milwaukee.
Yeah, I've been working a lot with Mrs. Milwaukee in these past little bit, and trying to get it out there that there is there's a debate between Bart Ehrman and Robert Price that's going to be going down in October
21st.
Right. So if you're in the Milwaukee area, all 12 of you that are watching right now, if you happen to be in the Milwaukee area, definitely check that out. Go and see that, because that is going to be a fantastic debate. Because it's going to have
Price is awesome.
Huh? Yes, Price is awesome.
It's awesome.
I've read his Incredible Shrinking Son of Man several times, and I'm trying to get through Bart Ehrman's book on whether or not Jesus existed. So, but yeah, that's going to be
debate. It's not just the debate either. It's the whole Myth Information Conference. They've got a lot of speakers before the debate, so it's like all day Friday, October 21st.
Yeah, but I mean the key point to take home is that it's going to be awesome. Okay,
it's going to be awesome.
But definitely if you can go and see that. I know that I am going to be up there. I'm going to be at it because I'm not going to pass up that opportunity at all. But yeah, so that's going to be it for us tonight. Again, I appreciate all of you guys coming here, talking, giving me your input, and just in general helping me with the page, helping me get to this point. So I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck off.
All right. We'll see everybody later. Y'all have a wonderful night out there on Facebook land or on YouTube if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, because I'm definitely going to put it up there. And I guess y'all have a great week.
Bye.
Bye. Bitches.
Opinions about sexual ethics? No, it's not okay. The Bible is abundantly clear about sexual ethics. Sex is reserved for marriage. Marriage is a union of one man and one woman. Homosexuality is a sin. Sexual immorality is a sin, etc. These things are not ambiguous.
But Jacqueline Glenn isn't really highly respected by the supposed intellectuals of atheism because he plagiarizes the males.
Okay, yeah, Jacqueline Glenn did have some plagiarism problems.